In Medford. I first want to highlight a few city councilors that are here, Kit Collins and Emily Lazaro. As well as city staff and Representative Donato, who's behind me. We all know, a little windy, that increasing our affordable housing stock is one of the most critical issues facing our region right now. So I want to thank you all for being here today to further the conversation on this important topic. And of course, thank you to Governor Maura Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, Housing and Livable Communities Secretary Augustus, and Energy and Environmental Affairs Secretary Tepper for choosing Medford to host this important announcement. Today we are standing on a site of a Chapter 40B housing project that will bring in over 280 new units to the city, 25% of which will be affordable. Yes. In total, Medford is currently working to add over 1,500 housing units through 6 new developments alone. While we consider ourselves lucky that so many people want to live in our region, we are in an affordability crisis where the cost of living is far outpacing wages. Creating affordable housing now is vital to the future of our city. It impacts affordability, shapes our demographics, supports equity, and encourages a vibrant community. Thank you to the Healey administration for working on solutions that will in turn help build more affordable housing. We're grateful for your leadership and guidance on this critical issue. I'd now like to welcome Governor Healey.
Gosh, Mayor, it's so great to be here with you. You're doing a fantastic job, and we're really happy to be able to show off this particularly great site and think about what it's going to mean for people, which is homes. You know, from the start of our administration, we've been about building homes as quickly as possible all over Massachusetts. And you know, today we're here to announce another big step forward in lowering the cost of housing and getting more housing, more homes out there around the state. So I want to thank the mayor and city leaders for all you're doing, for welcoming us here. I want to thank Mike Canalupa from Davis Companies, who are representing this project, and thank all the developers who are out there working hard statewide. I also want to thank all of our friends in labor and the men and women actually doing the construction. We really appreciate all of you as well. And I want to take a moment to recognize members of our team, members of this administration, who really have leaned into this in terms of thinking about everything that we can do, all the different ways that we can bring more housing online. That starts with our great Secretary of Housing and Livable Communities at Augustus, our Secretary of Energy and Environment, Rebecca Tepper, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll. We have our Senior Advisor from Housing and Livable Communities, Gina McLaughlin, from Govs Legal, Greg Schmidt, from DCAM, our Commissioner, Adam Bakey. We have from our Climate Office, Deputy Chief, Aladine Joroff as well. And let me just say to also I want to note really some important key members of this initiative. Okay, these are the folks from our Energy and Environmental Affairs Secretariat. Okay, and I want to in particular thank them, Secretary Tepper for her leadership, Undersecretary Stephanie Cooper, MEPA Director Tori Kim, our Assistant Secretary Kurt Gartner, Assistant Secretary Alan Brizius. It's really important. I just want to thank you guys for being really innovative, really creative, not doing any harm to our commitment to protecting the environment and standards, and also making sure that we are moving together collectively as quickly as we can, efficiently and effectively as we can to move through the processes which will result in more housing coming online. So that was a new and different ask that we put on EEA, and I want to thank you guys for meeting the moment, rising to the challenge, and helping us deliver what we're delivering today, which is about unlocking housing And to that end, I want to thank Tamara Small from NIUP, who along with Secretary Augustus chaired our Unlocking Housing Production Commission, made really key recommendations that have played a key role to set all of this in motion. And speaking of those who are terrific environmental stewards and also understand something about EEA, our former EEA secretary and now the president of the trustees of reservations, Katie Theorides. Thank you for joining us here today, Katie. So let me tell you what we're doing. Basically, today I'm announcing that Massachusetts is speeding up environmental review for housing like no other state has done. Today, we're going to be cutting review times down. The vast majority of projects will move from taking as long as a year for review to just a month, 30 days. That's a 90% savings. That's a big deal. We also know saving time means saving money. At a moment when contractors, builders are struggling out there with things that we can't control in Massachusetts, inflation, tariffs, and the like, this is a way that we can help you. We know how much you need the help, okay? And I know that saving time will help save money. This is about cutting red tape so we can cut more ribbons on more new homes and get to more reasonably priced housing around this state. Others can explain this more, but you know this process. It's a MEPA. It's called the MEPA review. That's our important environmental law. It looks at environmental impact. That's important. But you know, in the view of our team, it was taking longer than it needed to do what we need to do in this moment. And so, did a study, came out with ways we could really shave that down. A 90% savings in time. That's what we're announcing today. And I really want to again give credit to the team who did this in a really smart way, so we can build more housing while also protecting our environment. This works together with a bunch of other things that we've done, including cutting taxes, increasing tax credits for affordable housing, market rate housing, senior supports, and more. The Affordable Homes Act, as you know, puts billions of dollars into new housing, home ownership, and a bunch of policy changes. We made things like ADUs, our in-law apartments and the like, allowable by right statewide, and we're putting out hundreds and hundreds of acres of surplus state land for housing development. We're working with 140 communities to make zoning changes to allow for more multifamily housing near transit. We already banned broker fees, which we know are saving renters right now dollars when they move. And we filed the Mass Ready Act, which cuts more review time to get housing built more quickly while also protecting communities. And I want to thank Representative Paul Donato and his colleagues in the legislature for a lot of this partnership and work in getting this done. We're going to use every tool. We're going to use every tool that we can to get the cost of housing down and build more homes online. I was serious at the outset when I said we are going to make housing a priority like never before. And when we started, we knew that as an administration, the state, we hadn't been building housing, it turns out, for years. And when we took over, we said, what's the inventory? How many homes do we need to build right now? The number was staggering, 220,000. But I want to say that thanks to a lot of work of so many, we are now 90,000 housing units underway towards that, okay, with a goal of another 250,000 more over the next 4 years, okay? That's what we're going to do. That's what we're capable of doing. And I want to bring up somebody who's really been so instrumental in leading the charge on housing, making life more affordable for people around this state, and making things go and work, and that's our fabulous Lieutenant Governor, Kim Driscoll.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you to Team Massachusetts. That's all of you here in the audience participating in this event and the work that you do every single day to grow housing, and certainly the people who are just standing behind me who have worked across cabinets, across interagencies, both in government and outside of government to build the sort of housing that we need in a pro-housing culture. And congratulations, Mayor. Hearing 1,500 units in the pipeline, you are certainly part of what we need more of in local government, which are housing forward, understanding the impacts we're having in communities. So really great to be in Medford anytime, but particularly for this announcement and to be able to show off the work that's going on here to support families, local workforce, seniors. Like, the reality is all of our communities need more housing. The governor and I hear it everywhere we are. We need more housing that's more affordable. We need housing designed to meet the needs of constituents that we rely on every single day. But you can ask anyone in local government and they will tell you it is also hard. It is hard to get the housing built that we need, that we rely on. And you can have a perfect project, frankly, that meets every clear need. You can have buy-in from all the key stakeholders, and there can still be multiple processes that can drag things out and can increase cost and frankly can put projects at risk, even city-sponsored projects that can happen too. And that's why I'm really excited to be part of a team, and frankly having a governor that's driving this. Our entire administration knows that we have to do something about this. We've got to get outcomes faster. We need to incentivize the production of housing, particularly housing that's at lower cost. And frankly, the production of all housing is going to drive down costs. And that's why we're here today. We're moving with urgency, but with purpose, to streamline how we get things done and move faster with developing the housing that we need. Projects will be eligible for this fast lane, this speed up review, when they meet certain simple criteria. Think of developments that are maybe easily accessible by public transportation or already connected to existing energy and water and sewer infrastructure. You're already following the stretch code. We can do smart growth housing, and when we do that, that's going to meet a lot of our needs. That's why this process and today is so important. Look, you all know who develop housing. Projects get approved through the MEPA process. It can just take multiple months, and that does add costs and uncertainties. Those are two things you don't need when it comes to building housing. The bottom line is we can maintain our strong environmental standards and build housing and also have nature-based solutions to address a rising climate mitigation, rising climate needs and mitigation. Those are critical factors in Massachusetts. I like to think we're a state that prides ourselves on being different. We're number one in a lot of things. Innovation is one of them, and we are bringing innovation to permitting and how we build housing. And you all know faster reviews means lower prices. Faster reviews means we're meeting the moment of putting people in housing that they desperately need in a smarter fashion. And it's just a fact. When we build faster, when we build more, we will drive down these costs and make housing more affordable. And the governor has made it clear. Our job is to clear the path, to cut the red tape, and to get moving faster with new homes in all of our communities. We've worked together both inside and outside the administration to deliver on that goal. And special thanks to the members of both the Unlocking Housing Production Commission. This was real work. We had a lot of free consultants working with us as part of that effort to come up with the ideas. What are the barriers? How do we remove the obstacles? People who actually build the housing, and those of us on the regulatory side as well. I really want to thank Tori, the secretary, her team at DEP. This is getting folks out of their comfort zone. How do we deliver on the promise that we have to our environment and the standards that we have, while also recognizing everyone's impacted by the housing needs in our communities across Massachusetts? So we did it. We put smart people around the table and we said, let's solve a hard challenge. And these new regs are part of it. Streamlining permitting and ensuring that we're going to have the housing that we need. Because these housing costs can't wait. Families need homes, businesses need workers, seniors need places to live that have and meet their services. We can protect the environment, build more housing, have quality of life in all of our communities, and we're committed to doing both. Congratulations for being here and the work we're going to do together. Much appreciation. It's now my pleasure. We are slowing down this particular project that we're on. So I do want to thank Mike Cantalupa, Chief Development Officer from the Davis Companies, for joining us and sharing a little bit about their perspective on how the streamlined permitting can help us build more housing in Massachusetts. Mike.
John Anderson, we are going to go back to work right after everybody leaves here. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. On behalf of Davis, and actually really the entire real estate industry, it's an honor to join you, Governor Healey, Mayor Brianna, Secretary Augustus, Secretary Tepper, and everyone here at 970 Fellsway for this announcement. We at Davis are excited to be underway here in Medford and are grateful to the administration, Mass Housing, and the mayor, and everyone in the city who helped make the project feasible. As you can see behind me, demolition and site work on this project began some time ago. When complete, this development will be 289 units. As the mayor said, 25% of which will be affordable, so a little bit over 70 units. The apartments and townhomes that will be here will replace an aging industrial building and the impervious surface that was here with housing, open space, parking, new street improvements, mass transit improvements, modern stormwater management, accessibility, and sustainable building materials all in a passive house environment. So when these projects get going, they really unlock a lot of benefits. As Mayor Brianna knows, and as my colleagues at Davis are all too familiar with, because I drone on about this, I actually grew up at the other end of this street, literally. So when I told my mother that we're actually going to build housing on the other end of the street in the old box factory, that's what this was an old box factory, in a typical Italian mother fashion, she said, "That's great. What's taking so long?" Right? And so, as that's the theme of the day, apparently we could have done better. But because of its environmental location, the MEPA regulations, we had to conduct an environmental impact report. We began that MEPA process in July of '24, and it completed in January. So it took 7 months. Okay, and that was a relatively short and efficient review for a MEPA review. Some of the projects that we've been involved in the past take quite a bit longer. So under the MEPA reform that's being announced today, it's huge that this process will be taken down to 30 days. A shorter process in the development community, and those of my colleagues can correct me if I'm wrong, means less review expense on the front end, certainly, but equally as important, has larger financial implications on the back end in terms of reduced interest expense and speed to market that can oftentimes be very valuable. So in many ways, while you've streamlined the process, you've also, as the governor said, gone a long way towards reducing our costs, and that's great. It also means that I can report credibly to my mother that we will do better next time. So by streamlining the environmental review for projects that meet the key criteria, the Healey-Driscoll administration can reinforce important environmental protections, of course, while creating a very important, more predictable, and an appropriately constrained review timeline. That predictability will help multifamily developments move more quickly from concept to construction to ribbon cutting, and create more supply and help limit developers' exposure, quite candidly, to the type of cyclical market risk that we face all the time. So we applaud the Healey-Driscoll administration for doing what you've done. It's very aggressive, and we think it's very key. Keep more of that coming. And thank you, everyone, for coming to support projects like 970 Fellsway. And with that, I would like to introduce Tamara Small, who's the CEO of NIUP, Massachusetts.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to be here at a NAIOP member project. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. And thank you to Governor Healey, Lieutenant Governor Driscoll, Secretary Tepper, and Secretary Augustus for the opportunity to be here. I'm Tamara Small, CEO of NAIOP Massachusetts, the Commercial Real Estate Development Association. NAIOP represents the interests of more than 1,800 members who own, manage, develop, or invest in retail, office, lab, mixed use, and multifamily space here in Massachusetts. Over the course of more than a year, I had the honor of serving on the Governor's Unlocking Housing Production Commission, which brought together experts, many of whom I am so thrilled to see here today, on housing to really dig in to figure out how we can build more housing in Massachusetts. We met with community leaders, regulators, elected officials, advocates, and developers to understand what were the barriers to housing production. We heard about desperately needed housing projects being bogged down in endless permitting delays, antiquated regulations, and, of course, good old-fashioned NIMBYism. We also heard about the impacts of not building housing. After decades of underproduction, housing costs are up and far too many people are unable to find an affordable place to call home. The Commission's final report highlighted specific strategies, big and small, for unlocking housing production. One of the many recommendations was to identify opportunities to expedite housing projects under MEPA while ensuring environmental protection and robust community engagement. Today's announcement realizes the Commission's recommendation and will ensure shovels can get into the ground more quickly. It puts Massachusetts one step closer to achieving its housing production goal of 222,000 units by 2035. NAIOP is grateful to the Healey-Driscoll administration for advancing these recommendations, and we look forward to engaging in the public process and ensuring that the final regulations advance our housing production goals. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and thank you to the Healey-Driscoll administration for your leadership on this critical issue. It is now my pleasure to turn it over to Katie Theoharides, CEO and President of the Trustees of the Reservations. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Tamara, and thank you, Governor and Lieutenant Governor, secretaries, and to the housing and environmental advocates who are gathered here today. Thank you. I think one of the things that sets Massachusetts apart is our ability to come together around issues that can be challenging to solve but require innovation and people to work towards sensible solutions. At the Trustees, we welcome over 2 million visitors every year to connect with and enjoy nature. And we're lucky in this state because Massachusetts has done such work to conserve and protect our environment, our clean air and water, our lands, and our communities. Rather than be fixed in place, there is often opportunity for the regulatory process to be revisited, to innovate, and to find solutions that work for the moment we're in. And right now, we have some important work to do. We have to build resiliency to climate change, restore the ecological integrity of our natural lands and communities, and we have a housing shortage in the state. Homes are unaffordable, and people continue to develop land further and further away from urban centers, from critical transportation, from utilities, and in ways that aren't as energy efficient as they could be. We believe there needs to be a thoughtful approach to accelerate well-sited, dense, environmentally and energy efficient housing with continued strong environmental protection. Environmental review processes like MEPA are essential tools for protecting the environment that we all depend on and ensuring that there's transparency in the process. But the level of review can be commensurate with the project's environmental impact. We also really appreciate the Healey-Driscoll administration's efforts to right-size environmental review for environmentally beneficial projects, nature-based solutions, and ecological restoration. And we've seen the cost of the longer time that it takes to get some of these projects done. We're working right now across the coast on over 1,500 acres of salt marsh in the North Shore, the South Shore, and the islands, and it often takes years to get these permits in hand, so we're excited about the opportunities ahead with this work. We look forward to engaging in the public process and offering input as these draft regulations move ahead, and we encourage others to do the same, seeking innovation, creative solutions, and sensible solutions that ultimately strengthen the environmental review process and are a tool to increase ecological restoration and housing solutions across the Commonwealth. So once again, thank you all for the great work on this, and we're excited to be part of this process and to evolve the way we do things today to strongly protect our environment and our communities together. And I believe I am welcoming our governor back to the podium. Thank you, Governor Healey.
Great. Thanks, Katie. Fantastic. Well, thank you all so much, and we're happy to take any questions on topic. Otherwise, we're going to let everybody get back to work here on this site, build some homes. Fantastic. All right, great work. Thank you.